Hi, welcome to our Supper Club. This evening we're going to be cooking wild salmon with stir-fry vegetables, lots of different green vegetables that we got from Riverford Organics the other day, and we're going to add lots of herbs, ginger, garlic, so it's a really tasty meal, so you're not having just salmon and steamed vegetables, which so many diets seem to recommend we all eat, but generally make us depressed. So we'll show you all the ingredients and then we'll get cooking. So as you can see, we've got broccoli, coriander, parsley, some ginger and garlic. We've got the lovely green beans from Riverford, some cabbage that's left over, celery, spinach, some frozen peas, and really at this point you could use any green veg that you want. Anything you've got kicking around, anything that you fancy. You could use just broccoli if you wanted to. I'm just using all of these because it's what I've got in the fridge. We've also got a couple of wild salmon fillets and some onions. So we're going to chop all these up and then I'm going to show you how to cook it. So we're just going to really roughly, really quickly just chop all these vegetables up. Entirely up to you what size you have things. Very quickly just take all these off the broccoli. Stalks we can keep for soup, stocks, that kind of thing. So I'm just going to put that over here and keep it for a soup for another day. Celery, just going to break off a couple of stalks. Again, celery is always a brilliant thing to have in the fridge and just use it in various different things. Very tasty vegetable, nice and crispy as well in this, and I'm just going to chop it all up. Just using a small serrated knife, just going to slice it all up. We want all the vegetables similar sizes, so that it's all going to cook fairly quickly and fairly similar time. Going to slice up the cabbage. Again, if there's anything here you don't like, don't use it, use something else, use your favourites. And I'm going to put the cabbage just here with the spinach, because those two are going to cook very, very quickly. Got the beans here. A very good trick with the beans is I'm just going to line them all up, and if they come in a packet, leave them in the packet, and just cut all the ends off in one go. Okay? So, turn them around, line them all up, and this can be for green beans, any kind of beans, sugar snap peas, anything that needs the end taking off, asparagus, leave it in the packet or leave it with the rubber band, and then just chop the ends off. So again, this preparation time is really very quick, and then we're just going to, again, leave the rubber band on until we don't need it, and we're just going to chop through them. I'm doing enough here for probably two very, decent sized portions, and then we're just going to slice the onions. And again, just slicing down, nice and thin. Don't worry too much about it, because again, this is a quick supper for when you've got in from work, not something that we're going to spend hours over. Okay, so we've chopped all the veg, we've got the salmon ready. Now this is the important bit, because this is the flavour bit. This is the bit that most recipes leave out. So if you haven't listened to anything so far, listen up now. Parsley and coriander, you could use mint, you could use whatever your favourite herb is, to be fair. Dill and tarragon, whatever you've got left in the fridge, whatever you've got growing in a pot on the kitchen sink that's kind of starting to wilt a bit, get it all in there, get it chopped up. So stalks and everything, make sure it's clean, and I'm just going to sort of hold it all tightly together, and I'm just going to chop through it, really roughly. Just a good few chops. You want to keep a bit of texture, it doesn't have to be any chefy fine chops. I've got a measuring jug, and I'm just going to put all these herbs into the measuring jug, and you'll see why in a second. Okay, and then into this, I'm going to add some of our Udo's oil for the 3, 6 and 9 omegas, and we're just going to put a good couple of tablespoons. You might be scared at this point by the amount of oil, but I'll explain later why we're using that much and why it's going to be good for us. Brad liquid aminos taste very similar to soy sauce, but they're not fermented, so it's actually quite a good source of liquid aminos rather than soy sauce, which is very high in salt and is fermented, so it's not so great for us. So really good swig of that. Think of it like soy sauce and use it like soy sauce. And then I'm going to put a bit of a pinch of salt, not too much because we've just used the brag, and that, it's like using salt. Really good grinded pepper. And put this aside, because that's going to finish off our vegetables and basically dress our vegetables. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to do is we've got our salmon here, and I've got some cumin and fennel seeds, as you know, my favourite, and I'm just going to sprinkle some onto the salmon. And again, at this point you could use any of your favourite herbs and spices, you could put Italian seasoning on there, curry powder, whatever you find your favourite. But I personally love cumin and fennel, or just cumin. I think it goes really, really well with this, and it's going to make the salmon taste amazing. So we just sprinkle that on the salmon. And then the final flavour trick is a piece of ginger and a garlic clove. And we're just going to cut around the ginger. Don't waste your time with a peeler, it's not going to happen. We're just going to roughly peel. And again, I've only used one knife through the whole of this, so you don't need to have that, that big scary chef knife that you've got there. Don't worry about, if you can't use them, don't worry about it. I've just got this small serrated knife and it's more than adequate. If you've got a favourite knife, use that. So, we've got the ginger and garlic, and all I'm going to do is I'm just going to grate it. And I'm going to grate the ginger and I'm going to grate the garlic, because it's a great way to get it to a nice size, brings all the flavour out, and you're not trying to smash things and chop things and hurt yourself. You're just going to grate it, and that's it. So just grate the garlic. Grating it, or if you want to use a garlic crusher, that's fine, but because we've got the garlic, the ginger grated anyway, we may as well not dirty more than one thing. So we've just got the ginger and the garlic there, and then we're going to move on to the cooking, and then we're done. So there's the ginger and garlic, and all our lovely vegetables ready to go. Our dressing, the salmon with the cumin and fennel seeds, and we've got the celery and the onions. Okay, so we're ready to cook. I've got a pan on here, getting nice and hot, big strong flame. I'm going to put a splash of sesame oil, not too much, we don't need it. Got a nice non-stick pan. We're just going to let that oil coat the bottom. You can see it smoking a bit, so we know it's hot. I'm going to take our salmon, and the trick with salmon is this side down first, so skin side up. And you should be able to hear it, you see it sizzling a little bit. And we're just going to put the other one in. And we're just going to let a little bit of colour on that. You should start to smell the cumin and the fennel seed flavour coming through. And it was just literally maybe a 1 minute, 2 minutes on this side, and then we're going to flip it over. We're using a wild salmon here, reason being that farm salmon, although they're all very cheap and easy to get and sustainable, actually a lot of the things that they use with them pollute the local areas, and also it takes 3 kilos of wild fish to feed the salmon to give us 1 kilo of farm salmon. So my suggestion would be pay a little bit more, buy something that's wild and tasty, have it when it's in season, and then when it's not, move on to other more sustainable fish like all your mackerels and various other fish. So for today we're using wild. I can just see that the colour is just coming up. You can just start to see it going opaque. There's a nice bit of brown colour on there. I can smell the sesame and the sesame oil, the cumin and the fennel. I'm going to turn them over. I'm going to give them a season, and again we're using Maldon salt, so a nice sea salt, none of this stuff with anti-taking agents and God knows what. It's a natural salt, a good season, and then I'm going to turn the heat right down, and I'm going to move them out of the way so that you can see us doing the veg, and we're just going to cook those slowly for about 5 or 6 minutes while we do our veg. Okay, so you should be able to just see the salmon in the background there. We've got a nice hot pan on here for the vegetables. And we're going to do part stir-fry, part pan steamed. So, again, a tiny bit. I'm going to use sesame oil again, mainly for flavour. At this point, if you wanted to, you could use a bit of water, because cooking an oil to a high temperature isn't really very good for it. But I would quite like to get some nice flavour out of these onions and give the celery a bit of a stir-fry. So, depending where you're at and what you eat, if you're vegan and you really don't like cooking with oil, and this is the point where you use a bit of water. You wouldn't have your salmon, maybe you do cook some lentils with some cumin and fennel. So just wherever you're at, you do what you fancy. If there's something that doesn't quite work for you, then change it. Nothing's set in stone, and just have a play around with it. So we're just going to lightly fry these. Very quick, we want to keep the vegetables as raw and sort of as tasty as possible. Give these a bit of crunch. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add the garlic and ginger. So I'm just going to sprinkle that in, and again we want to sort of fry this a bit, because if you just put it into the boiling water, it doesn't give you as much fragrance as when you just lightly fry it off first. And it's just, all of this smells amazing now. I wish you could smell it. So, we've literally been a couple of minutes now. The salmon's doing nicely, it's just cooking. We've got the skin side down, so it's protecting the flesh. You can see there's not much oil in this pan. Just the vegetables are starting to soften. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add the frozen peas. The reason I add the frozen peas now is, they're in small, but they're frozen. So we do need to get them in now. And I'm going to add our beans and our broccoli. And here's the trick. This is how we do boiled vegetables without boiling them, and this is how we do steaming, but very easily. All we're going to do is we're just going to add maybe a third of a cup of water, just enough to steam it. You should hear it now sizzling, and then lid on. And you just want super high heat, lid on, and just forget about it for 2 or 3 minutes. Take a little look at our salmon while we're waiting for our vegetables. They're just pan frying there nicely. If we just lift that up, you can see that it's starting to cook through all the way through. The skin's getting a little bit brown. They're doing fine, don't worry about them, just leave them there for a few more minutes. If it's a very thick piece of salmon, you can turn it over and leave it another couple of minutes on the other side, but other than that, they're doing great. Okay, the veg has been a couple of minutes now. We're going to take a quick peek, but ideally don't be tempted to do this, but I want to show you what's happening. So all the veg is starting to cook, it's changing colour, we've got a bright, green, lovely veg. If you want, you can give it a little stir. You can see there's just a bit of water left in the bottom there that's just steaming all of this. Pop the lid back on, and I'd say you want about 4, 5, 6 minutes, same time that it takes to cook the salmon. So we're just going to add our cabbage now onto that, and then we're going to put our spinach on top. And again, don't worry at this point, the pan is looking very full. But all of this is just going to wilt down nicely as it cooks and steams. Again, haven't put any salt and pepper at this point because we're going to have the dressing. Okay, let's take a peek. So you can see all the spinach there is wilted down. It's nearly cooked. I'm just going to try a bit. It's ready. Delicious. So this is the point where there's hardly any water left. You can smell the ginger and the garlic. And I'm going to add our dressing, which is what's going to make this so unbelievably tasty. And I'm going to give it a bit of a mix. And then we're actually ready to go. So in the dressing we've got the herbs and the seasoning and the oil. The oil's going to keep all its goodness because we've turned the heat off now, so we're just warming the oil through rather than cooking it. So if you're using olive oil or avocado oil or this omega-3 oil, this is the way to keep it and eat it so that it's good for you. And that just, to me, that looks amazing. I think it actually needs a bit more oil. I'm going to add a bit of sesame just for some more flavour. And again, these fat-free diets that people are on, forget them. They're going to kill you. You need your fats, you need them at the right time and the right kind. So, there are our beautiful vegetables. And I'll just show you our salmon. The salmon's there, it's nice and cooked. You can just touch it and it'll feel firm. If you're really unsure, maybe just cut it open, but if you push it, you can actually see the flakes start to come apart, and you can see that it's cooked all the way through. So we're now going to dish this up. Okay, so here we go. We've got our beautiful veg, and again, for me that's probably enough veg for 2 because we eat a lot of vegetables, but some of you might want 4, but we've got no potatoes or starchy things here, so we can have a lot more veg, have a nice big plate of food without it actually making us stodged out and bloated. So we've got all our vegetables on the plate, and we just put the salmon on top, like so, with the skin up. Skin's gone nice and crispy and brown, and I would say that that's a pretty healthy, tasty meal. We're going to go off and eat this now. For the recipe and more info, go to the blog. You can follow us on Facebook, but give it a try, let me know what you think. Try it with different veg, try with different flavourings, and happy cooking.